Yo, what is up, everybody? Popo here, bring guys a new video, and today we're going to be talking about AI and Pokemon. Let's go. Welcome, everybody, and today we're going to be talking about AI and Pokemon. If you didn't know, the Japan Nationals happened this past weekend, and they were using what you could see below me is an AI move and probability indicator, and this shows like probability of win, chances of them selecting move, what is the best choice for moves. And this is not uncommon in other games like chess. Chess is a big one where they have AI and bots that are able to calculate millions of different positions all in a split second to kind of output what the best is. And it has been shown that these bots are actually better than the best players in the world. And I think this AI is probably way far behind that. Is a new technology. Plus, there are so many more variables when it comes to playing Pokemon, especially because you have 4 moves per turn. You got, 2 different Pokemon. So right there's already a lot of options. You can switch, getting double protects, crits, stuff like that, all really affect this RNG as well, where in chess there is no RNG and you're making moves based on advancing your position or, taking away opportunities for your opponent. And there are only limited amount of those in chess, whereas in Pokemon it is vast. Obviously, there's going to be worse plays than others in certain situations, but overall, there's so many possibilities and options, and you have to kind of calculate for all those. So when the AI is doing this, is it really looking at millions and millions of different possibilities? We don't really have any information on this AI, not that I could find anyways, so this is all just speculation, but it's something really interesting to talk about and how this could progress Pokemon in general. What I'm going to do today is we're going to look at this one turn. This is just going to be a single turn worth of like looking at this, and I think that gives us a really good perspective. This is a really good turn to really show. We have Asumi on the left here, and they have just lost their 2 Pokemon on the turn before, so they're bringing out their last 2 Pokemon. And then on the right we have Endo, who is has 3 Pokemon remaining, including his Calyrex. So in position way far ahead, but we can see that the information bar down below is saying that this match is in favor of Asumi opposed to Endo, which is crazy, right? Because it has the Pokemon advantage, all this kind of stuff. But it cannot calculate what Pokemon you also have in the back, and it can't calculate, switches or anything like that. So it is missing that little bit of an opportunity, and there's a lot of player choice in those opportunities. So it doesn't know if you have, Pelipper in the back opposed to Ogerpon in the back, and both of those Pokemon are going to play a lot different into the situations that are going on, right? So when we talk about what this AI is actually calculating, we want to keep that in mind. It's mostly just calculating what moves would be optimal to pick in these certain situations. So if we go right into the match, we can see that the last 2 Pokemon are going to be Chien-Pao plus Urshifu. Very strong combination of Pokemon, right? They both put a lot of pressure onto these Pokemon, despite the fact that Raging Bolt is very good into both of them. This Chien-Pao is Life Orb, as is this Raging Bolt, and then we have the Urshifu, who's just going to go for mostly Rapid Strikes. And we see that the Calyrex actually has Assault Vest. I believe that this is Choice Scarf Urshifu, but I could be wrong on that, so I do apologize if I am incorrect. But okay, going into this, we can see down below here that it is giving different options for what's going on. Up at the top, those 2 boxed in ones are going to be the Pokemon's names. So the left one's going to be Chien-Pao, the right one's going to be Urshifu, and on the other side, the left one is going to, of course, be Calyrex, and the right one is going to be that Raging Bolt. And you could see that it gives 3 different options for both Pokemon, and none of them including switches, which has been consistent throughout. And if it is a spread move, it will show no Pokemon in the right side where it shows green. That's the target of the attack. So the bot right now thinks there is a 68% chance. So despite losing both of their Pokemon, Asumi is now even stronger in this position, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, right? You just lost your restricted, you lost your speed control, and now you are better, right? It really doesn't make sense overall, seeing as how you're down 2 to 3 Pokemon. But these are two really strong Pokemon, and they put a lot of pressure on your opponent. But the reason why there is a huge advantage here is because Asumi right now has a lot of pressure with Sucker Punch. The bot, I don't know if it's calculating the possibility of KOs. It doesn't have information on EVs as far as I know, so it can't really tell how bulky these Pokemon are. We can see the HP stats of the Pokemon, so we can make assumptions about how bulky they actually are built. And I'll get into that in a second. But let's just talk about what these bots want you to do in these turns. So right here, 34% chance. This is kind of calculating what the chance of this being the best move is. It's not that this is going to be 34% chance that this person does this. This is just the percent chance that this is the best move that you can do this turn. 20% chance, same thing. 17% chance, same exact thing. So it wants Stellar Terra on Chen Pao, going for Sucker Punch against the Raging Bolt. And it wants the Urshifu to go Rapid Strikes into the Calyrex, which puts a lot of pressure on both of your opponent. They cannot outspeed this. This really stops them from going Thunderclap, and it really likes that play. Down here, I think this is Icicle Crash into the Calyrex, which I think is weird, or it might be Throat Chop. I'm not sure. I didn't look up what this one meant, so I'm not sure. And then this is Close Combat into it, which I think is just a worse play, because Surging Strikes does cover for Fire Terra, as we know it is Fire Terra, and the 9% down here. 41% best plays over here are going to be go Seed Bomb into the Urshifu, which probably does significant damage if it doesn't get the knockout, and going for the Thunderclap into the Chen Pao. Now, this is really interesting, and I'm gonna show you why. If we go over here and we look at this damage calc that I have up here, we know that it is 201 HP stat, because we can see that right on the information on here. We see the 201 HP stat over there on the Raging Bolt, so we have that information, right? So we know how many EVs are in the HP here. What we don't know is if it has any defensive capabilities. We don't know at all. So right now, Sucker Punch with Terra Stellar is going to kill with a 252 Life Orb. It always knocks out. But and I have the HP set to 145, which is what Raging Bolt is at. If you didn't see that, Raging Bolt is at 145 right now. So that is 72%. But if we put 164 in here, which is not out of the realm of possibilities, we do see it becomes a 43% chance to actually get that knockout. I would say even 44. 44, sorry, not 34. 44% chance to knock out from this range with Life Orb Sucker Punch. So that's really interesting. But the problem is Thunderclap always knocks out. But the problem is if they do go Sucker Punch and you do live and you went Thunderclap, you just lose. You just lose. And that's assuming that they didn't double you, which most likely they probably are going to. You can't make that assumption that they're not. So I think you always go Thunderbolt. So the fact that they're going for this setup here is kind of crazy. But if you think your opponent is going to think that you're going to go the Thunderclap just in case they don't, go for the Sucker Punch. And they're going to go for the Thunderbolts, and you're going to outsmart them because you're going to go Icicle Crash, or you're going to go whatever else you have into that same slot. Then, yes, then Thunderbolt is a lot worse. But this is a really big call to make. The funny thing about it is that is what the call is made. But Thunderclap does get played into the Chen Pao, which does get the knockout. So, the AI was really pushing for the Sucker Punch play, and let's just let it play out here. Was really going for the Sucker Punch play with Terra Stellar, and it really looked like that was what was going to happen. I think it was the best play, because if they do go Thunderclap, just kind of win the game almost on spot because you're not taking any damage this turn. If you do go for this top play that the AI goes for. But this is where player player knowledge and player understanding and playing previous matches, maybe matchups that are almost exactly the same, comes into play. You know, humans don't always play the optimal way, and sometimes overthinking causes plays to not become optimal. When you're like, well, this play makes sense, but let me not do it because my opponent also knows that that play makes sense. And this is one of those situations, and it's one of those cases, as we do see that Stellar Terror go into the Chien-Pao. Of course, Chien-Pao is going to be the fastest one on the field for the Terra. And it's just really interesting how this turn actually played out. So we see that 68% chance. So right here, Endo has to play to their outs, right? Their out is to go for this Thunderclap in hopes that Asumi played the incorrect play by not going for the Sucker Punch, by not pressuring that Raging Bolt as much as maybe they should have. And that's exactly what that happens. It's really interesting. Maybe Asumi didn't think that the Sucker Punch would get the KO, so they wanted to go for something a little bit better. Maybe they thought that Thunderclap wouldn't KO them, but I think they kind of know that Thunderclap would KO them, and they're kind of disappointed that they went for that. We do see the knockout on the Chien-Pao. So in this situation right here and right now, it's now down 1 versus 3. So like a 68% chance all the way down to a 0, basically, where your opponent is so far pressured. And if you had doubled up into that Raging Bolt, just in case your Sucker Punch did not get the knockout, you are pretty much lost at this point. Like there's nothing you can do. You're going to take a free attack, and then they're going to get their last Pokemon in. But that is not what happened. We do see the Surging Strikes, so that is, by definition, the correct play, and that is enough to get the knockout, whether Fire Terra. That's why I don't get this 9% play down here, because this never does anything. You just lose your Terra, and you just completely lose the game. This is Thunderbolt plus Fire Terra. Going for Seed Bomb. Like, you just never win. The only time this does okay is if they do that play where they do double up. But in this case, you just go for Thunderclap in the Urshifu and you still just win the game. So that's why this 68% is it just doesn't really make sense to me. Because I saw this matchup and I'm just like, it's just over, right? Unless Endo makes the wrong play and actually goes for the Thunderclap into the Sucker Punch. That's the only way that they lose, and that's the only way that there's no coming back, because from the previous game, we saw that the last Pokemon brought was that Ogerpon, and of course Ogerpon has that sturdy ability, so it's not going to be able to be knocked out from this Chien-Pao. So as long as you can get rid of one of the 2 Pokemon on this turn, which I think the safer bet was to just get rid of the Urshifu, I think you just always win and you could just never lose. And that's exactly what happens. And then we can kind of see that we don't get the updated information because there was a forfeit and the game was over. So yeah, speaking of these the AI and on here and everything, I just don't think it's up to par yet, and it might be because it's not looking at a database. It's just looking at move versus Pokemon. And I think that is probably a downside to it right now, and I think that it could be improved in the future to a point where maybe it's a learning tool. It's usable for newer players and experienced players to really be able to increase the proficiency of games. And if somebody can try to get this like code or try to make the code of their own and be able to really fine-tune this and make it something super important, it could be really dangerous on ladder, as a lot of people will be cheating like they do on chess.com. A lot of these people do get banned because the elo system works in a certain way where it's like, well, you know, this account was made 4 days ago and now it's, you know, 2800 in rapid, and that just don't happen. That just doesn't happen. So but on Showdown, you can just make an account, go play on ladder. On the game, you could just go play on ladder. So it's really interesting. Who knows how this could work in the future? Maybe it can only work in a spectator mode. Maybe it can only be used if it's reading data from the game itself, which maybe is not going to be able to be done. But if it could just read data on the board, do the damage calcs for you, kind of tell you what the best play is going to be, then it could become super, super dangerous. But once again, I think if it can connect with Showdown in a certain way and you can play with your friends and you can learn a lot of information. Wait, why is this the best play? Because I wasn't thinking about that play, you know, or we can use it in a way that gets used in chess a lot with a lot of the best players in the world, where when they play a game, they go back to that game, they input the information into chess.com or into that bot, they replay the game, and the bot tells them where they went wrong or where there was inconsistencies or blunders or anything like that, and could help that player improve in the future in those same positions. Because a lot of people don't know this about chess, but it's not about making the right decisions, but it's about pattern recognition. This position has happened before. What happened in those situations? Let me make that same play because they won in this exact same position. If they made these plays, oh, they made a different play here, but this play was made, so let me change a little bit on what this pattern is. Wait, I've seen this game before. And it is crazy, and a lot of people don't believe that's what happens in chess, but it is. It's a lot of pattern recognition and then adding in your elements of other stuff where you've played the game so much that you understand. And with Pokemon, there's a lot of similarities there where, you know, if you played a matchup a certain amount of times, you really understand how to beat that matchup without really having to use your mind, right? Oh, if they're going to go lead with these two Pokemon, I just bring this in the back and I can switch it in and it's pretty much GG, right? So there's a lot of those similarities that we can take from that. So using an AI or a bot that could help with something like that, where you can maybe even battle the bot and use those perfect moves, and you could kind of really see and develop an understanding of matchups and your abilities, will increase the level of play in Pokemon significantly. Even though the play right now is insane, there's still a lot of inconsistencies, and there's a lot of human error, of course, because that's what the game is, right? It's a game of human error. But there is RNG involved, and that's something that needs to be taken into consideration as well, that the bot might never be able to do. Maybe it adds that little bit of a crit chance into that, or that double protect chance. Oh, they're going to go for double protect here, so, you know, your percent is a little bit lower to be able to succeed on this turn, and if you do miss on that and they do get the double protect, then you just straight up lose, and then now you have a 0% chance to win unless they throw. So it'll be really interesting to see where this technology goes, if they try to use it at Worlds, if they're gonna just make this more mainstream, if anybody could ever get the code for it and kind of, you know, engineer a better version, a bot, or are they going to put this into the newer games? Like, are they going to use this bot and this AI to really increase the difficulty of future games and make them a little bit more difficult? Or maybe you can have a level setting where you can put this bot, you know, on the newer games, where you put, you know, super difficult, and then it uses this rather than the AI that they use now, or whatever it might be. So who knows? The future's bright. I'm excited for this. I really liked seeing that and be able to, like, really decipher what the bot was saying and input my own play and see what I think how my play would be better than what the bot does. And we can see here that somebody went outside of what the bot said, and it failed for them, and it succeeded for the other player, who seemingly followed exactly what the bot said. We don't know what they were doing with the Calyrex, but it was just over at that point. But anyways, guys, that is my thoughts. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you thumbs it up. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do so. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody.